back with another video for Ophelia Talks, and today we are making a variegated infinity scarf. I have called it the Rachel scarf because I made one for my daughter and she really liked it. I'm using this yarn here. It's by Signet. It's called Boho Spirit and it's 100% premium acrylic. The colorway is called Zen and I absolutely love it. You know, it goes from pinks to sort of really dark, then into blues, and it's just, even the brown I like, you know. So it's a really, really nice colorway. There are more colors in this range, but nothing that compares to this. It really isn't. So I thought this kind of scarf would make a really nice present. You need 2 balls for it, and basically once we've started and I've explained to you sort of the first row and then how to go on, you're just doing the same thing over and over again for 2 balls. So once you've done your second ball, that's when you know you'll have to come back to the video and I'll show you how to sew or crochet the ends together. But yeah, I tried with my daughter's scarf to start with the same color and then try and see what the second ball is, and then you can sort of match that up. But I mean, to be honest, it's not really necessary to do that, but yeah. I tried. So this is prescribed as a 4 or a 4.5 crochet hook. Oh, it even has crochet hooks on here, see? But I am going to be using a 5. So I want the effect to be looser. I want it to be more lacy. So I have now done a chain of 52 chains. So you do a slip knot and you start chaining and you do 52 chains. Then to get started on our first stitch of our round, you are going to do 2 more chains. Now these 2 chains are going to count as a stitch that comes out of your 52nd chain. Okay, then I mean, to make it easier on yourself, you could put a stitch marker in this one here. This one is the 52nd chain and we are going to skip 2 chains, and into the 3rd one here you are going to start with doing the first shell. So a shell is made up of 2 double crochets, a chain and 2 double crochets. So I've just done my 2nd double crochet, then I did a chain, and now into that same stitch you're going to do another 2 double crochets. Okay, so this is the first shell. Then we are going to look along our chain. We are going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4 chains, and into the 5th one we are going to do another shell. That means a double crochet, a double crochet, a chain, a double crochet and a double crochet, all in that same stitch. Okay, so in UK terms these are trebles that you are doing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th stitch you do your shell. And this is what you are going to continue doing all along this starting chain. And you should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th stitch here. You should have 10 shells at the end of your line, and you should have 3 stitches left over. Right. So 3 chains left over. So I will see you at the end of your line here. So I have come to the end of my line. I've done my last shell and I've got 1, 2, 3 stitches left, and that's correct. So now I'm going to go and do 1 double crochet, picking up both loops in that last chain. Okay, so we make an edge to our scarf. So I have 10 repeats, I have 10 shells. So now simply we chain up 2, you turn your work, and this time instead of going into the 5th chain, we are just going to go into that chain space that we made in the previous round. So all you're doing this time is putting your shells, let me just quickly do one, there we go, putting your shells into the chain space. And then once you've done a shell, you go to the next shell into that chain space, and you're doing the next shell. So from now on, you don't have to go into a stitch, you don't have to go and pick up 2 or 1 loops or a back loop or whatever. You're just going to go into the opening that you made in the shells of the previous round. And as you can see, this sort of creates quite a nice texture to your fabric, and the more you do, I think it looks really lovely. So once you get okay, that's typical me, isn't it? Once you get into the swing of things, this goes really quickly, because obviously with using this yarn, you're wanting to see what it looks like when the next color appears. So you're sort of doing it for the color change, to see the color change. But also, because we're using a hook that's a little bit too big, you're going to be creating a nice loose effect. And that will give us a nice lacy scarf. You might think that you're going to be creating a lot of holes, but to be honest, once you've got the whole scarf done, it's okay. It's not too bad. I've made one before, and I have to say it looked really nice, sort of once you've got quite a bit of the fabric going there. So I am trying to get to the other side, just so I can show you what to do. Your rounds or your rows are not at all long. You're just doing 10 shells basically in each line that you are doing. You're starting off with your 2 chains, and you are finishing with your single one, you know what I mean, 1 double crochet. So here we are, we're at the end of the line, and I here have that chain. In that chain I am going to do a double crochet, and this will keep my scarf nice. Oops. In the picture, put it in the picture, Anya. This will give your scarf a nice edge. But as you can tell already, I can see sort of these little tiny little bumps, and I quite like this effect. So I am going to continue doing this for 2 balls. So this 1 ball has to be finished, and this one has to be done as well. It should be about, let me get my measuring stick out. Okay. I don't know why I don't have my thing anymore. Anyway, it's about 30 centimeters this way. And you should be, in length, it should be about 1.20 m when you have finished both balls. So I will see you when you are ready to put your ends together. Right everyone, I am back, and when I left you I had about this much, and now look at this. It has grown and grown, and I have added the second ball here, and it has grown and grown to all the way to the end. Okay, so this is my infinity scarf. We're going to make it infinity in a moment, but as you can see, I don't know whether you can see on camera, it might not just show up, but it there's this sort of like texture almost. Can you see there's little bumps? And that's what I like so much about this. And of course, yes, the yarn is just a fabulous colour. When I did this here, when I had to attach the second ball, it didn't really tally up I'm not too worried because it's variegated yarn anyway, so it's going to be, you know, there is going to be a color change here and there, so I'm not too worried. So first of all, let's sew in these ends. So we've got two different colored ends. So you thread it onto a needle, and what I do is I stay within my color. So don't go and put this color into here because you're going to see that. So we're going to just sew in by doing little stitches coming out, just gently pulling it, not tugging or anything, to make sure that it stays flat. And then you go back, it came out now, but you go back to where you came from. So you do a little loop and then you do a bit more. And what I do now is I try and get the yarn in while my needle is attached into my work here. And that's never so easy, of course, but well worth the effort, because then you know that you've got a longish tail sewn in. There we go. And gently make sure it goes in, and I pull it out to sort of extend it like this, so your end will disappear and you know it is in there. Okay, so the second one. So this didn't take me at all long to do. I had a couple of evenings working on this, really, and it goes quite quickly, so I'm trying to not have to re-thread it here. I'm hoping it hasn't come out. It's still in there. We go carefully, yeah, and there we go. See, look, it's gone. I didn't even have to cut off my ends there. So now, of course, you've got this end here to sew in. We'll do that when we've finished. But here at the very end, I finished, and this is the amount. Let me just turn this around and show you. This is the amount I have left. So it's not all that much, but I think it's going to be enough to slip stitch along the side here. So I now have a length. Let me just double it up so I can measure it for you. I did say it had to be about 120 centimeters, so it should be 60 centimeters here. What we have here, so this is on the thing. Yeah, look, 60 centimeters. Okay, so 120 centimeters in total, and now we are ready to start sewing it together. I've got two different colors. I was hoping to finish here and have it like this, but that's not what the thread decided. So let's just go with the flow and go with what we have got. So we are putting, like you see, I've folded it double, and we are putting these two ends together. So this is our starting chain and this is the last row. So let me just get back into the loop, which I had extended. There we go. Okay. Now the reason why I didn't sew this in yet is because that gives me another, 10 centimeters if I don't make it. Okay. Just in case. Just in case. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch together. So I'm going to try and find the little loops that I haven't, we're going to slip stitch together, so I'm going to try and find the loops that we haven't used. So under the first one here, I'm going to go under, and then the very first one here as well, where my loop is coming out of, pull through, just pull it a little bit because the loop extended a little bit, and pull through. Okay, now this might be a little bit fiddly, and because of the yarn you might not see it so well, but it is worth just taking a little bit of time to do this. And as you can see, turning your hook to try and pick up that loop does help. See, this is the bigger loop because that's where we did that shell into, there we go, look, I think that looks nice. So I'm just trying to pick up the inner loops here. Again, yeah, if you need to, it's easier to turn your hook and pick it up like that. Right, so the ones that we didn't use obviously will be a little bit harder to get into. And then there are the ones that we used for the shell that will be a little bit bigger. But yeah, so just take your time doing this. I think it will, if you do it carefully, it will look maybe even neater, and hopefully it will, you know, sort of add to the scarf. I'm trying to go for a, you know, sort of inconspicuous look here. So let's have a look what it looks like. I think that's okay. You're always going to see it, obviously, but I think that's okay. And then on the other side, it looks like this. So that's even less visible here. So I'm going to continue like this, and I will see you at the end of the row here. Okay, so this is what it looks like at the moment. So I think it's a very nice seam, but yeah, I ran out of yarn. And I thought, well, in a way, I'm going to try and show you what you can do then. Now, I didn't, this is an idea, obviously, because it gives you an extra piece, but there is something else that you can do first. And I need not all that much more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo my stitching here. Yeah, and you have to be very careful with this yarn. There we go. Now what I can do is undo this whole row, forget about it, and sew it together. But what I'm going to try and do before I do that, because there is still something else we can do, that is to undo the last row and redo it slightly more tension, slightly tighter, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit more left, and then that will take us to the end. So I'm now going to undo this. Now this yarn is not the easiest yarn to undo because of the little sort of unwoven character of it. It does tend to get slightly entangled onto itself, it seems. So I am going to yeah, there we go. See, this is what happens. It sort of ties itself round. But if you undo it really carefully, really slowly, it does work. I mean, sometimes it even works when you just a few stitches, but I'm just going to do the whole row. I think that's the most efficient one that I can do here, and hopefully that will give us that sort of extra, I don't know, 10 centimeters maybe. Right, I'm here now. I might as well just keep going. Okay, so there we go. So we are doing it slightly tighter. Hopefully you won't see the difference in that last row. I'm just trying to be, yeah, see? I don't know whether that's going to be obvious. You could also try in a different hook, in a smaller hook, just for that one row. Sometimes all these YouTube videos are just perfect. It all works out and there's no problems, But I want to incorporate things like this because it's a little tip of something that you might encounter. And if you've seen it in one of my videos, you think, oh, but hang on a minute. you know, Anya did this in that video or whatever. I mean, very often I don't even remember what I show in which video, but it's just, you know, I want to show the reality here. I want to tell you that these things happen to me as well, okay? And yes, there are solutions for it, and very often people go to Facebook and ask, and then, you know, you will get answers, and people will suggest things like this. But obviously, this is what is happening to me now, and I just want to tell you how I go about sorting this problem. And I'm almost there, so we might as well just keep going. I think I have a lot more left. Is that possible? Can you see there is a slight difference in size, which is fine. That's okay. Obviously, you might have just a little bit more left, or you might have to leave this last row off, depending on your tension and, you know, the way you crochet. So there's always going to be, you know, a lot of factors that come into this which will make your piece unique. Right, we're nearly there. Let's try again, and if this doesn't work, then I will just use that little bit of pink at the end, I think. Okay, yeah, so now I was going to chain up then. Do we think we have more? I don't know, I can't tell whether this was incorporated in the... I think I have a bit more. I think that was that bit in the beginning there. Okay, let's try again. So, let's fold it double. And let's find the inner loops and do slip stitches. You know how it goes. Loop under, under that one. Oh, I can't see it now. Where are we? Oh, let me put the yarn on the other side because that does help. There. That's easier for me to see now. There we go. In a loop there. Right, so the pink is going to be our saviour if it doesn't work, but we've done everything possible now to make it work, so hopefully it will do what we want it to do this time. Yes, we are playing a dangerous game of yarn chicken. Okay, shall I just... Oh, hang on, that's skipping one. I think there's one here. Yeah. So I will see you, hopefully, when I've finished all of it. See you in a moment. Okay, so I think we're at the point where we had to give up earlier, but look now, look how much I have left still. It's amazing. So I'm so relieved. You know, by doing that, by redoing the last row with a little bit more tension, I don't think you're going to be able to see the difference. Look, you can't tell that, you know, I did it sort of slightly tighter, obviously, and now look, I've got enough yarn left to do the rest and even sew it in. Yes, so a good little tip there. Right, I will see you in a moment. Sorry, I was so excited I had to show you. I'm tallying up all the stitches, so make sure you do that as well. Okay, see you later. Woohoo! I am never been as pleased as this. Right, so I managed to do the whole round, the whole row better with some left over just by doing the last row again. And hopefully now we'll just sew in the ends, and that is that. So I hope that the recipient of this scarf, a friend of mine, is going to appreciate all the effort I've put in. Oh dear, this is fun, isn't it? But yes, so there we go. I'm glad I've been able to show you, you know, sort of how to deal with this particular problem. and hopefully you have enjoyed the tutorial. There are some pictures to follow of my daughter wearing hers. So thank you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.